Hi, this is Lisa Copen here over at restministries.com. And I have something on my mind that I would just like to share. Faith does not always equal a healing. And just because someone has a wonderfully amazing positive attitude in the midst of their pain or their illness does not mean that they're not going to die or not going to continue to be in pain. Now, this may sound like a pessimistic attitude, but let me just share a couple of things with you. In the last 24 hours, I've run into a couple of instances where I have just been frustrated. The first one was a picture that I've seen over and over on Facebook, but I saw it again this week. Here's a glimpse of it. Now, to those of us who rely on medications, even though we don't want to, and even though we've tried every kind of other alternative form of treatment and therapy and herbs, everything you can imagine, we know that those pills that are in this picture are actually what's keeping us going every day. Now, even if I wanted to try every kind of alternative treatment under the sun right now, to be able to even get those things to kick in, the odds are I would have to continue to take my medication at this moment just to be able to get out of bed in order to drive to get to a clinic, or if I was traveling, to get on an airplane to get to that location, and then to be able to sleep at night so that I woke up in the morning to try to find that alternative treatment therapy that someone was going to tell me would cure me in just a matter of time. I would have to be taking those medications. Now, when I see this, I know people think that if they eat healthy, if they eat well, if they do the right thing, if they exercise daily, get out of their house, not think about their health or their illness so much, think about other things besides the pain, then it will all go away. And what I'd like to say to these people is, doesn't always go away. I have lived every day of my life for almost 20 years concentrating not on my pain or on my illness, but rather on the fact that God has a purpose in my life, and that may or may not include my illness. But if it is, I will surrender that over to Him, and to God be the glory if it is my illness, and I have to live with this thorn in my side, but I will not focus on it in the negative aspects. And after nearly 20 years, I am in worse physical pain and worse physically with my illness than I've ever been. In fact, the doctor told me recently that 80% of my pain is now caused by the deformities of rheumatoid arthritis and not the actual flares. So no matter what kind of medication I take or how well it works, odds are 80% of my pain will never go away and it will only continue to get worse. And that is with a wonderful, positive attitude that I have to say I try my best to submit to every morning. Now, the other thing that I heard just today was someone's wonderful story about their grandmother who was diagnosed with cancer at 87 years old, refused treatment, and she lived another 8 years simply because she had a good attitude. Well, God bless her. That's a wonderful story, and to live to be 95 years old, despite having no treatments for cancer, is fabulous, and I'm glad she had a wonderful life. My grandmother died 6 months after she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and this woman lived through more pain in her life. She had the most wonderful attitude. She prayed to God a million times a day in breath prayers and everything else. Her foundation in her life was that God would have the glory in every circumstance. She was a servant. She lived every day for God, and she surrendered it over to Him at the very last minute. She fought for everything in her for those 6 months and was determined that God was going to heal her completely because she would give Him every ounce of the glory and tell everyone what He did for her. And did God heal her? No, He took her to heaven. And that's the legacy I have, and I am proud of it. And she was not weak. She did not have a bad attitude, and that's why she left. No, she left because God chose to take her on the day He chose to take her. And no good attitude, and no healthy eating, and no having a positive outlook every day was going to change God's plan. So as you can tell, I've had a couple of instances today that just continue to layer on top of those things that I hear when people say, if you would just eat healthier. If you saw my kitchen, you would think I was eating pretty healthy. And if I would just go for a walk, well, you know what? Every step is painful, and yet I walk around this house, picking up after everyone, and myself included. I walk to and from my car. I walk through the grocery store. I do everything I possibly can to live that good life. And it would make me very frustrated to hear someone say or insinuate that I had a bad attitude or I just didn't try hard enough, and then I would be healthy. Because God has chosen to give me this thorn for now, and whatever reason He has chosen illness to be a part of your life, I encourage you to surrender it over to Him and to try to give grace to those people who do not understand that a positive attitude doesn't always make or break the difference.